What is up, guys out there? Welcome back to the first of the summer top 5 videos. Now, just to clarify to you guys, the guys are wondering, where the hell are the top 5s, Austin? Well, I have an explanation. For one thing, all of us have busy schedules this semester. We've actually been having a lot of busy schedules as of recently. And because of that, top 5s, they're not always, they're not always the easiest to film, and they're also not easy to edit whatsoever because I do all the editing on the top 5s. What I decided to do, in case you guys aren't following me on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, is that I decided to do about 5 top 5s a year. One for May, June, July, August, and then one for December for when I do most anticipated movies for the next year. So, to kick off the summer top 5s for May movies, this is a top 5 I've wanted to do for quite some time, and finally I got these two. Get in this with me. Welcome back to Joe and Lucas.
Hello, everyone.
And welcome back to the top 5s, guys. So yeah, only 5 top 5s per year, guys. I hope you guys are okay with that. So today's top 5 will talk about the start of every career, the top 5, in our opinions, the top 5 directorial debuts in film. This is what I've been wanting to do for quite some time, and because, a lot of directors out there, if they can show us that they can do good, they have some promising careers for them. Now, of course, honorable mentions are back, and of course, we'll have the shit stain, aka the worst directorial debut, in our opinion. This list was really hard.
I have 4 honorable mentions.
Okay.
4 honorable mentions. The first one, John Hudson for Maltese Falcon. You guys are probably going to be surprised it's not in my top 5, but
if that's what I'm thinking of, yeah, I'll be surprised.
Terry Gilliam for the Monty Python The Holy Grail.
Oh,
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I have awesome. 5 honorable mentions, guys. One of them is a found footage film, Chronicle. Next one, Lucas, you're gonna be really surprised that this is in here, but Nightcrawler. The next one is J.J. Abrams' first film, Mission Impossible 3. Next one up is one that came out in 2012 called The Cabin in the Woods. And my final one is a remake, Evil Dead. Alright, so guys, those were all mentions. Let's get into the top 5. After 6 months, shall we finally begin?
Number 5.
Number 5 for me is a film I saw yesterday. It is a fantastic film.
You just saw it yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you know what it is, Austin.
Oh.
Anyway, this film is starring, it has a great director making his debut, and what a debut it is. It's Reservoir Dogs from Quentin Tarantino.
Oh, okay. That's in here as well, but you'll see where it is.
Quentin Tarantino's Reservoir Dogs, for me, is just something that is a very well done film. The acting's phenomenal.
Oh, that's right. You did mention you were going to see it very soon. I last saw you. You did mention that.
Yes, I did, and I finally saw it yesterday.
Great.
What a film.
Great film.
It is as great as Pulp Fiction or Inglourious Basterds.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the top. I think it's my 3rd or 4th favorite Tarantino film.
I can agree with that.
And it was like it's like a very indie movie.
Yeah, I love all the references. Yeah. Like, one thing I also noticed was the Breaking Bad references from the Reservoir Dogs when Mr. Pink is holding a gun to Mr. White in the movie. Walter White and J.C. Pinkman. That was one. I was probably like, when I saw this, I'm like, ah!
I don't think that was really a Breaking Bad reference, but if you want to say that is,
well, it's Breaking Bad. It previews Breaking Bad. I think Vince Gilligan made that reference from the movie Reservoir Dogs.
Oh, okay. Well, if that's true, then wow.
I was really happy about that. It's a great directorial debut for a Quentin Tarantino movie. I really don't want to spoil to get into it too much, but that's why it's my number 5.
Alright, well, my number 5 comes from a director that, started off great, but then he kind of went downhill with a movie that came out last year. You guys will know what it is when I say it. Number 5 is 500 Days of Summer, directed by Mark Webb, who did
I don't.
I love 500 Days of Summer, honestly.
I don't.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't see it.
The guy was Joseph Gordon-Levitt was just a loser throughout the whole movie.
Really?
Yeah, he was a loser.
I loved him in that movie. I love J. Jill, and he's a great actor. He's done movies like that. He's done Looper. He's done
50-50.
50-50 as well. Yes, he's coming out to do The Walk this year.
And Snowden.
And Snowden,
yeah,
yes.
I can't wait for Snowden.
Snowden's gonna be great. When I watched 500 Days of Summer, it was just something that handled romance really well. I mean, like, it was a different type of romance, but the casual relationship romance. You guys have seen 2 years ago. Wow, that was 2 years ago. Our top 5 romance movies. That was 2 years ago. Mark Webb, I mean, I didn't mind Amazing Spider-Man. I really liked it. I know you hated it, and you hated the second one even more.
Both of them.
I actually really liked Amazing Spider-Man. Though I liked the first one. The second one,
I liked the Amazing Spider-Man. Really liked it.
We liked the first one, but
And the second one.
The second one was a bit of a disappointment, I thought. But I mean, when it comes to low-budget films, Mark Webb I thought handled characters really well in this one. It's my favorite romance film of all time.
Sure.
It's my number 5.
All right. Well, my number 5 is a duo directors, and then spoiler alert, it's not the Coen brothers.
That's what I thought it was gonna be.
A duo that you probably don't know as much, but they are going to be directing the Mr. Rogers movie that's coming out pretty soon. They're going to be doing a biopic on Mr. Rogers.
Really?
And they're gonna do like the whole how he made the whole TV show. But this is Jonathan Dayton and Valerie Faris for Little Miss Sunshine.
Oh,
yeah. When this movie first came out, this was it was unexpected for me.
Surprise!
It was unexpected for me first of all that this was actually a comedy / drama that I actually found enjoyable.
It's a great
This
film.
was around the time when I first got my job at Cobb Theater back in 2006, and that's when I was getting movies for free. That was one of the first movies that I watched.
Wow.
When I started working
Memories.
there. And yeah, I thought Steve Carell did amazing in his role as a gay man. I loved Alan Arkin in his role as like the dirty grandfather, and how he eventually picked the music for the girl Super Freak. So that ending sequence when they finally get to the dancing competition,
that was hysterical.
and the little girl's doing Super
Abigail
Freak.
Breslin.
And they.
Come over the line. Where's your grandpa? And the trunk of our car.
And the trunk of our car. And then you also got the blind, the kid that the boy that doesn't
colorblind,
speak.
right?
Yeah, always
Paul Dano,
writes,
I believe, right? Paul Dano.
He always writes stuff.
That was so.
And then when he finds out he's colorblind, fuck! It's like Jesus Christ. Great comedy. It was a Best Picture nominee. Didn't win. These two didn't really do anything. I mean, they did one more movie. It was kind of an indie movie that didn't really get a lot of attention. But this new Mr. Rogers movie that's coming out, it's going to get some attention, especially since, he passed away and his legacy will always live on in our
hearts. Since
hearts.
These two guys are doing it, now I'm actually interested in it.
All right.
So
that's why they're my number 5.
Number 4.
All right, number 4 is probably a director who has directed my favorite Stephen King movie of all time, Frank Darabont for The Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I'm not surprised.
he went to TV before, then he did Shawshank, I remember correctly.
Yes, he did.
That's what he did, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Frank Darabont did an excellent job in this movie. There are so many things I could say about Shawshank Redemption, but I've praised this movie way too much in the top 5s. So watch them if you want to know more information. I'm just going to say the acting is phenomenal. Everything in the movie is just perfect. It's my favorite Stephen King movie of all time. Pretty much the adaptation. I don't know why Stephen King didn't like it, but it's just...
Stephen King very likes any of his films.
Stephen King doesn't like any adaptation that he doesn't control himself.
He's basically like the Alan Moore of books.
Yeah, he didn't
he's the Alan Moore.
Yeah, he didn't like Stanley Kubrick's Shining. That's why he had to do the whole miniseries himself.
Shawshank Redemption is just a masterpiece of a film. And it should have won I think it should have won Best Picture.
Over Forrest Gump?
Of course. Forrest Gump's probably my third.
Pulp Fiction got nominated that year too, right?
Fiction.
Yes. Pulp Fiction should have won.
Pulp Fiction, Shawshank, then Forrest Gump. Enough said. That's why it's my number 4.
Alright, my number 4 comes from a director who does mostly cult movies. And this was a movie that he basically raised a lot of money by doing a lot of credit cards. If you guys, I think Joe knows where we're going at.
Oh no.
My number 4 is Clerks by Kevin Smith.
Oh wow, I completely forgot about that.
I love Clerks. I love this movie. Basically, Kevin Smith, if you guys don't know the process he did to do this movie, he basically was like $32,000 and credit cards. He got a lot of credit cards to save up the funds, took it to Sundance, and afterwards he made about like $5 million over it, and then he jump-started his career. And Kevin Smith, Clerks doesn't really have a plot to it, honestly. It's just a couple of guys just messing around at a convenience store, but the dialogue in that movie is fucking hysterical.
It is.
Like,
oh my god.
still, my favorite scene in the entire film. My favorite scene is when Randall is on the phone in front of this woman and her son. And he's giving off this porno movies. And then he was like, he's getting all these titles off. And then you see the girl's expression is going like, what the fuck is wrong with you? The recurring joke that this guy says, I'm not even supposed to be here today.
I completely
It's
forgot.
that guy. Reservoir Dogs really did give indie films or anything, but Kevin Smith proved that literally anybody can make a film. Anybody. But one of my favorite lines in the entire film was when Randall was like, I want to run a movie. And he's like, why? And he's like, I want to go run a video store. You work in a video store. I work in a shitty video store. So like I said before, it proves that anybody can make a film, whether it be a short or a feature-length film. And anyways, that's where Clerks is my number 4.
Alright, well, my number 4 is also a duo, but this time it's an animated movie. It's a very popular animated movie that's probably regarded as one of the best Disney animated movies ever. This goes to Roger Allers and Rob Minkoff for The Lion King.
Oh. Damn.
I was 4 when this came out, so my stance on Lion King back then was very strong, because along with Beauty and the Beast, Lion King is one of my favorite Disney movies to ever existed. I mean, the music, everyone knows all the songs. I can't really say much about the songs because everybody loves the music in it. But to take a Disney movie and try to base it off the story of Hamlet, which is not really easy to do,
No,
and try to make it popular towards kids, because Hamlet's it's not a very violent play. What am I saying?
Not very violent.
No, it's like, no, I got my words mixed up. It's a very violent and depressing play, and to try to cater this towards kids in an animated form. Doing animation, director-wise, is it's a little bit easier because you're not having to deal with, going out and shooting locations and all that stuff, but you have to make sure that everything looks good when they're drawing it. You have to make sure that your voice acting talent is doing properly. You have to make sure the music is appropriate too. And these two had to do a lot of work with this, and to pull this off the way they did, I give them a lot of props for it. Rob Minkoff went on to direct the 2 Stuart Little movies.
Oh. The first one isn't bad. It's okay, but the second one
bad.
And no, I didn't mind the second one. Honestly,
bad.
I don't mind the first one.
They're both pretty.
The second one sucks.
So these two, like the other duo I mentioned, they didn't really have a big track record afterwards.
Mark Webb, one of them.
Yeah, they've done. I know one of them did some animated, like Oscar animated short type of presentation, but they're animators and they direct animated movies. But Lion King is what they're best known for, and they pulled it off really well. But what can I say? Lion King, them is my number 4.
Number 3, I think you guys are going to know what this is. Okay. It's my favorite film of 2014.
Oh.
Dan Gilroy for Nightcrawler. Like, I just gotta say.
What you just did on the Facebook post.
Yeah. Dan Gilroy's Nightcrawler is just a piece of perfection, in my opinion. This movie's perfect, it has no flaws. The acting's phenomenal, especially from the side characters. I can't keep praising it. This movie keeps getting praised from everything. I keep praising this movie all the time. You guys know my opinion of this movie.
Oh, we do.
Yeah?
You praise it non-stop.
Yeah, you
because
did.
It's a freaking masterpiece.
It was your number 1 on your top 10, right?
Number 1 on my top 10 of this year, and it's one of my top 5 of the past decade. 2010, 2015.
Of all time, where would you put it?
Probably in the it's gonna be somewhere in the top 20. Love Nightcrawler, Dan Gilroy. I cannot just wait to see what he does next. That's why it's my number 3.
Alright, well, my number 3 comes from a director who, like Kevin Smith, shot this on a very low budget. Very low. I think this came out in the 70s or 80s, something like that, and it's a horror film.
Oh, I think I know what it is.
I think you may know what it is. My number 3 is Sam Raimi's The Evil Dead.
Knew it.
Yeah.
Knew it.
Well, stop hitting the table.
I know.
Anyway, The Evil Dead, Bruce Campbell. It's fucking Bruce Campbell, isn't it? You can't really go wrong with that guy. The Evil Dead follows a group of 5 friends who go to a cabin in the woods. Cabin in the Woods. Then they find a book called the Necronomicon, I believe it's called.
Yeah, Necronomicon.
Yeah, they find that, and then basically, Ash starts, listening to these tapes of this professor who found this, who awakened this evil spirit, this demonic spirit. Then basically, shit just goes crazy. From such a low budget, and the effects they did with such a low budget it's mind-blowing what they did. Like, apparently, for a Chasing the Woods, Sam Raimi took a camera, put it on a plank of wood, and just like ran through a bunch of wood to make it look like a steady cam. By far one of the scariest movies I've ever seen. I saw it, I think, 2 years ago. I think I had nightmares when I saw it, honestly. What Sam Raimi did for the horror genre is insane. He did Evil Dead 2, which I think is even better than the first one, and it's incredible. I need to see Army of Darkness. I still haven't seen that. But the remake, again, you already guys know it's on honorable mentions. But for what Sam Raimi did and how he jumped from that to doing other great horror films, so impressive. That's why The Evil Dead is my number 3.
My number 3, this director debuted in the early 2000s. He's very good at doing adaptations. He's got a pretty good track record. He did Memoirs of a Geisha later on, and he recently did Into the Woods during Christmas. Number 3 for me is Rob Marshall for Chicago. Now, let me say this right off the bat. When I first saw Chicago, I was 11 years old and I could not stand it. I'm not a big fan of musicals either. That's the one genre that I'm not a big fan of when it comes to movies. And when I go to it, sometimes I end up regretting it. With Annie last year.
Didn't see it, and I could have, but I skipped the screening.
Chicago in and of itself is one of the best well-known musicals ever. And to take it and to make it into a movie, not easy to do. Not easy to take Chicago. A musical and put it into a movie. But they got Renee Zellweger, they got Catherine Zeta-Jones, they got Richard Gere, they got Queen Latifah to do some amazing performances. And not only that, the camera work looks great, the production design, the costumes and everything, those looked amazing for the time that they shot this. And the way that it was portrayed, the way that how they transitioned from songs to, dialogue, and how they were able to just move it flowingly with the camera and keep it interesting, it's not easy to do in a film style. And it was a Best Picture winner, by the way, for 2002. Rob Marshall did not win that year, but he did get nominated for it, and he did a phenomenal job with it. I think Rob Marshall is one of those directors that's really good of doing adaptations of other things, especially musicals. So I look forward to anything Rob Marshall comes out with. If you ever seen Memoirs of a Geisha, I think I'm pronouncing that last word right.
Geisha.
I have a pronunciation problem, but that movie also got a lot of praise when that came out. It did get a few wins at the Oscars. So, and he did a phenomenal job with that. So, if you're not a fan of Rob Marshall, definitely check out Chicago, because it's one of those movies that even if you don't like musicals, you're going to be pretty entertained by it, because Chicago in and of itself is a musical that has really good writing behind it to go along with it. So that's why Rob Marshall's Chicago is my number 3.
Number 2 is pretty much, I think it's probably much one of the top 3 animated films of all time for me. This film is just outstanding, very underrated, and it's just excellent in every single way. Number 2 is Brad Bird for Iron Giant.
There we go.
You guys knew this was coming. The Iron Giant is just a fantastic piece of animation. The animation is just so beautiful, and when I saw it in 1999, when I was 7 years old, I loved it. Even though a lot of the other people I was doing it, they did not like it as much, I absolutely fell in love with this movie. I could not stop watching this movie. I loved everything about the Iron Giant, especially Vin Diesel as the Iron Giant. It was...
Yeah, and that was in his early days when he just got into Hollywood.
Vin Diesel's a freaking man. I cried pretty hard at the end of the movie. Yeah. Like when he sacrificed himself, spoiler. Everyone should know that by now. But anyway.
It's what basically Big Hero 6 ripped off.
So yeah, that's why Brad Bird is my number 2.
My number 2 comes to a director who, weird is an understatement for this guy. Really an understatement. His very first film delves on a lot of things. He's a very visual director, very visual, but he still is very thought-provoking. My number 2 goes to David Lynch's Eraserhead.
David Lynch.
Oh, David Lynch is fucking weird, but
and funny.
And funny, yes, but his films are phenomenal. Eraserhead is a really, really weird movie, but the thing is, what it does though, it tackles on the subject of parenthood.
Yeah.
But it makes parenthood look like the scariest freaking thing in the world. David Lynch, he's very known for having very, very weird visuals, and basically having stuff that when you watch, you can be like, what the fuck was that? Even though you have that thought going in your head, you're still engaged in this movie. And David Lynch, I've heard he's gonna come back with another movie very soon.
Oh, he's coming out of retirement?
From what I've heard, he has a script ready to go. That's why I've heard. He wants to do another movie, and I'll be in first line for that. Anyways, Eraserhead, David Lynch, he's the weirdest director out there, but you know he is a damn good director. So that's why Eraserhead is my number 2.
All right, my number 2 goes to an actor because this guy, he was a very popular actor in the late 80s, but when he got into 1990, this movie was it was over budgeted. He really wanted to try to make this like one of the best movies that you will ever see, and it is. It's touched me very much so. This is Kevin Costner's Dances with Wolves.
Oh, I thought you were going with Clint Eastwood for a second.
No. This is Kevin Costner and his directorial debut. He's only made 2 other movies since then, and they haven't been very good. Yeah.
Oh, he did The Postman and something else.
Yeah. Not only has he directed it, he also stars in it. He's one of the
long movie too.
Yeah. He likes epic movies. He likes those 3-hour-long type movies. He's one of those directors that likes to not only direct, but he also likes to be the star in it as well.
Yeah.
And there was just a lot of great storytelling in this movie. I mean, the guy basically, it was around the Civil War times, I believe. And, you know, he's trying to get a tribe to get out of a piece of land. And then he ends up becoming an ally of the Indian tribe. And he gets well, if you've seen Avatar, it's kind of you know why people kept saying that, you know, Avatar was basically a ripoff of Dances with Wolves and Pocahontas? That's the reason, because Dances with Wolves was the original. Okay, I have to stop this group of people because they're a threat.
Okay,
but now that I've interacted with them more, I'm now a part of them and I'm fighting my bosses type of deal.
I see. Okay.
So Kevin Costner, I mean, he's an amazing actor. First of all, not only is it well written, it's beautiful to look at. The camera work's amazing behind it. Kevin Costner actually won for Best Director. Yeah. He's one of the few actors that has actually won an Oscar for a Best Director.
Mel Gibson, another one of them.
Yeah. It's not easy to pull off being an actor and then going into directing. No. And unfortunately, his career in directing didn't go anywhere after that. But amazing movie, one of the best movies of the 90s. Kevin Costner's Dances with Wolves, my number 2.
It's number 1.
Number 1. It's clearly obvious, isn't it? It's probably regarded as the greatest film of all time, and it's just... What else can I say about it? It's Orson Welles debuting with Citizen Kane.
That's mine, too.
Thank you.
That's one we can agree on.
That's not in my top 5 at all. Sorry, guys.
What? Are you serious? It's not your top 5 at all?
I love Citizen Kane, but my number 1 I thought did a lot better than Citizen Kane did.
You're saying it did better than the greatest movie of all time.
I don't think it's the greatest one of all time, but
in my opinion,
turn on the light. Hold on.
You got an Orson Welles clap.
Son of a bitch, Joe. No, wait, hold on. There we go.
You're gonna get a lot of fucking hate on everyone. You're gonna get a lot of backlash.
Don't get me wrong. I love Citizen Kane, but I don't think it's like, oh my god. I'm not
Citizen Kane is a cinematic.
You have to understand something. It came out in the 40s.
Oh no, I understand the time period it came out and everything.
But that's my point. It came out in the 40s, so therefore it doesn't resonate with the younger generation as it would an older generation.
Right? Yeah.
But I mean, Orson gets so much fucking shit.
I mean, but it's the same. It's the same. Orson Welles was an actor. He became a director. He's one of the I mean, Citizen Kane was probably his only claim to fame. I mean, the other movies he directed,
I heard
were
they
complete.
sucked.
Yeah, they were complete utters. Well, it wasn't all his fault. He got screwed a lot. And the whole movie symbolizes what happens if you don't have a great childhood. You end up becoming like you become like this monster.
Yeah.
Type of deal. I mean, and
Very
it goes back to the very end of the film where he thinks of Rosebud, and then everyone's trying to figure out what is Rosebud. Why did he say that as his dying words? And then eventually, I mean, the audience finds out, but they never do. But
yeah,
we found out that it really was the one thing that he had as a child that, you know, he lost and it was gone forever. Same with his childhood, gone forever. He becomes a
bitter old man.
He becomes like an emperor of news, pretty much, he becomes like this completely psychotic person. They did color in the late 30s, but
late
it was so hard to try to do
and it was
color.
expensive, yeah.
Yeah,
really
so
expensive.
I mean, 40s they were still doing black and white. Visual effects didn't really mean anything back then.
They didn't.
They had to do all like paper mache stuff like that to be projected on something.
Yeah.
It was
I mean,
really
you had to rely on two things: acting, camera work, and film editing.
And
I should
creativity
say
as well.
Yeah, and writing. So it's like all of those four things you had to rely upon. And that Citizen Kane had all of that.
It did.
So for a movie of that time period, it was really well done. So I think Lucas and I can agree that is our number one. So I can't wait to hear yours, Austin.
Yeah, Austin, we gotta hear yours.
I think you may know what it is, guys, actually.
Or
Number
maybe
one
I'm not
comes
good.
from a guy who basically is the reason why indie films exist today. That is Reservoir Dogs.
Okay, all right.
Reservoir Dogs is a damn great film.
I was not expecting to be your number one.
What were you expecting?
I was expecting Quentin Tarantino's Reservoir Dogs to be bottom on the list and something else to be number one.
Well, what did you guys think was going to be number one then?
I thought Orson Welles' Citizen Kane was.
I thought it was going to be a horror movie.
No.
I thought it was going to be
It was
George
either going to be that
Romero's
or a horror movie. I thought it was going to be a horror movie.
I like Night of the Living Dead, but I don't love it. The way they describe it, it's like 12 angry men, but with 7 people, and they're all just in one location. They're still trying to figure out who ratted them out. I thought it was like 12 angry men, but with 6 people and trying to do a bank job. That's the best way I described it. And Quentin Tarantino did a fucking amazing job with it. Seriously. It starts off, in a diner scene where there's continuous, like, moving shots, then it finally goes on to the still shots. You get to learn the characters: Mr. Blue, Mr. White, Mr. Pink, Mr. Brown, Mr. Orange, I think was one of them.
Yeah, Mr. Orange.
I can't remember all
Yeah,
the
Mr.
colors.
Orange. Quentin Tarantino was Mr. Brown. Tim Roth was, I believe, Mr. P no, not Mr. No. Steve Buscemi was Mr. Pink. There was one of them that was named Mr. Blue. Michael Madsen was Mr. White, I believe. If you haven't seen Reservoir Dogs, you really, really need to see it. I mean, it's one of those things where the dialogue and how everything escalates alone, because it just starts off and we're like, who the hell did it? Who the hell did it? But then just everything just starts escalating. And the best part I love about Reservoir Dogs is that they don't even show the heist. They don't even show it. They show maybe a few chase scenes. And it's all they really show is the aftermath of a heist. That's all they try and show. And my God, how the scene with Michael Madsen going the torture scene is. I don't know. It's not really funny at the same time, but it is. You're just like, oh. And Quentin Tarantino is a master of dialogue. Like if you see a Quentin Tarantino movie, you see dialogue, he could be talking about shit and you'll be interested. Seriously, that's how good of a writer he is. The diner scene is great, and how they talk about how waiters make very minimum wage, how they're like, the tipping scene and everything. That's one of my favorite dialogue scenes in any movie right there. You really need to see this movie, because if you're especially in any movies like myself and like, these two right here, you're gonna love Reservoir Dogs. Believe me, it's that good, and that's why it's my number one. And here we go, guys. It is back. It is the moment you've been waiting for. It is time for these shit scenes of Directorial Debuts. These are the guys who were like, I could make a movie, but they ended up sucking majorly.
This movie that I picked is kind of a foreshadowing to a future list that they're gonna do that I'm not gonna be in. But I want to say this one because Alex loves this movie, Vin loves this movie. I think Lucas likes this movie. I'm not totally sure. I don't even know if you like this movie, Austin, but it came out in the late 90s.
Okay.
It's a duo, by the way. They're brothers. This is the Weitz's Brothers American Pie.
Oh.
I'm not a fan of the I am not a fan of American.
Wow.
That's understandable. It's understandable.
It's
I
a
knew
good
the
film.
jokes
It's
were
enjoyable.
coming before the jokes had the punchline. I knew the punchline was coming like 2 minutes before.
Wow.
First of all, it does one of the things. I mean, yes, I understand it's college and college
High
kids
school.
like
High school.
high school, college.
It is high school.
It's the same audience,
Yeah,
but they're
true.
trying to appeal. It's like, hey guys, let's get laid before we graduate. Okay. Your study person that's a girl that just happens to be a horny bitch. You're gonna do a long-winded joke where you end up, you go too early.
You do this.
It's like
I understand why you hate it.
and then
I
they
really
put
do.
the jizz in the cup, and I'm like, okay, he's gonna drink it, isn't he? Yes! Every guy has the same personality. They're all doofuses that are
They
just
are,
trying
yeah.
to get laid.
Different.
There's really nothing to
It's
differentiate
a really
any of them.
polarizing film. You either really, if it's either you like it or you hate it. I think it's an okay film. I think it's
Like,
okay.
I'm on
mean,
the
it
same
wasn't-
boat as Austin.
It's not even
I'm on
that
the same
sexy.
boat.
Yeah, I mean, there are some parts that did make me laugh.
The second one was much better. The second one was.
Well, that's because it had more nudity in it. I think that if you do a movie about sex, you have to try to, because doing a movie with sex involved is not an easy thing to do, especially if it's a
No.
comedy. Because
Yeah.
a lot of comedies nowadays try to do a lot of sex jokes.
40-Year-Old
And-
Virgin does it really well, though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
40-year-old
40-Year-Old
Virgin
my
is
God,
an
that-
example of something that was done right.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
and it was done
American-
with a mature view of it.
And
as
that
well.
was another directorial debut, by the way. I would say the people that like this movie have a very hard time getting laid themselves, so they appreciate the struggles of trying to get into a woman's pants.
My worst thing comes from a guy who directed music videos and he came to directing horror films.
Okay, yours is not.
This is a remake. I think you know what it is, Lucas. It's a remake.
Is
I
it?
love the original.
Is it? I think I have a great idea. What
It's
it is.
in my top 5 horror films. You know what it is, Lucas.
Yes,
I
I
know
do.
you know what it is. And when I saw this one, when I first
I
saw this
know.
movie, I was like, it was sad. But then as I continued watching when I was older, I was like, what the fuck did this guy do to him? And my worst directorial debut goes to Samuel Bayer's A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yep, I fucking
the one
knew
that
it.
came out of 4 years.
I fucking knew it.
Oh,
man.
God, this was awful. When a guy named Michael Bay offers you a job to do a remake of one of the best slasher films of all time, you say no to that. You say no because Michael Bay has no idea what the fuck he is doing when he's
No, he
remaking
isn't.
a horror film. He did the exact same thing with Friday the 13th. You know what he did
Yeah.
with that one? He made it into a softcore porno with Jason, and that's what he did with it. And I love Freddy way more than Jason. Freddy is such an iconic character. He can... he pulls you these nightmare worlds while also pulling out some amazing one-liners. There's two good things about it. Two good things. The visual style is really good. How Samuel Bayer, did his own twist on the nightmare sequences. He did a good job on those. And Jackie Earle Haley as Freddy Krueger. He was awesome, my woman. He did a really good job. But everything else, the story-wise, I didn't care for any of the characters. Rooney Mara moved on from this to Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, which was a much better role for her. A lot better. Remember in the original when Chris, the main girl, when she was trying to have sex with her boyfriend, she gets lifted up and then she gets crossed in the chest? Her death scene is one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Yeah,
basically
those
she was
old
lifted up and
movies.
she was like tossed around in the room like a rag doll, seriously. And then her boyfriend's like, "Stop! What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing?" And all that. Again, Jackie Earle Haley was a great Freddy Krueger. I actually loved him as Freddy Krueger, not as nearly much as Robert Englund was.
Yeah.
But he did a good job on his own 2 feet. He did a good job with it. And every single scare was a jump scare. Unlike in the original where everything was a build-up scare. I give him credit for trying to add in the backstory.
It's a half star for
But
me.
at the same time, Samuel Bayer really... Okay, I'm gonna say this. Samuel Bayer, you done fucked it up.
Your guys' movies do not compare to my worst.
Oh, really?
This movie
Shut up.
is, without a doubt, one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my entire life. Not only that, it stars one of the worst actors in my entire life. This guy not only
In your
acts...
entire life?
This movie is Freddy Got Fingered.
Oh!
Tom Green's directorial debut.
Oh, I remember that movie. Shit.
And then where is he now?
nowhere.
Yeah, he tried to do Celebrity Apprentice to try to make himself look good, but he ended up making himself
God
look worse.
damn, I remember that movie. Jesus.
Pretty got
And to
finger.
think he was like a very good comedian back then.
He's a horrible comedian. I've always hated him.
Daddy, would you like some sausage?
Sausage.
That was one of the dumbest movies.
I actually thought that was a Nightmare on Elm Street movie.
It's so fucking bad. The acting, the comedy, everything out this movie is complete
It leaves you
shit.
Didn't he
Brain-
cross-dress in the movie?
Yeah, he did.
He did.
I remember watching it. I think I was traveling somewhere, and I was like, let's give it a watch. It looks funny. Wow. This is worse than an Adam Sandler movie, guys. That's how bad it is. That's worse than Grown Up.
It
2
makes
Jack
Adam
and
Sandler
Jill.
look like Michael Keaton.
Yeah, I could actually agree with that.
It's fucking atrocious. This movie has no redeeming qualities. Tom Green needs to jump off a cliff. He has nothing good left up. He's just a terrible comedian, terrible person overall. He sucks. Fucked Faye.
I heard he actually went through
That's
and
why he's my
accepted
worst.
it, and he played an instrument, and they had to drag him off the stage because he wouldn't stop playing.
Yeah,
I heard
he was kind of trolling.
It's an atrocious nightmare. Never see it. That's why it's my worst.
Alrighty, guys, so that was our top 5 directorial debuts, our honorable mentions as well, even though I didn't have any, and also these shit stains as usual. Guys, thank you so much, and thank you for your patience on these top 5s. Believe me, we're only doing 5 a year, but wait till June and July's top 5s, because those ones, not only hard for me to do, but those are gonna be fun.
They're very hard for me.
Those are gonna be the ones that will divide everyone. But thank you so much for joining, guys. Thank you to Joe and to Lucas for joining on this one. And of course, also let us know in the comments below, what are your top 5 as well, your honorable mentions? No. And until June's top 5, we will see you guys next time.